We will begin the proceedings by the verses of the Holy Quran, and I will now invite Hafiz Humayun Beg to please recite a few verses from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أقم الصلاة لدلوك الشمس إلى غسق الليل وقرآن الفجر إن قرآن الفجر كان مشهودا ومن الليل فتهجد به نافلة لك عسى أن يبعثك ربك مقاما محمودا وقل رب أدخلني مدخل صدق وأخرجني مخرج صدق واجعل لي من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا آمنت بالله صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah. May I please request you, everyone, to stand for the national anthem of Pakistan. May I please request, ladies and gentlemen, to formally begin the event, Mr. Talib Kareem, President of IoBM, to deliver the welcome address.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and good morning. Mr. Bashir Janmohammad, Chancellor IoBM and chief guest of today's launching. Ambassador Hasan Javed, he's one of the speakers who will review the book. Engineer Abdul Jabbar, very active member of FPCCI. Of course, Dr. Shahida Wizarat, the author, rector, deans, faculty members, guests, students. I welcome you to this launching ceremony, and we are proud that this book is being launched from the platform of Institute of Business Management, which has an open door policy that whoever wants to write a book, any faculty member or members, we will finance the publication of that book. And this year, Dr. Wizarat's book and two other books will be published. One is IT related, and the other is by Ambassador Baloch, which should be out soon. So that gives us, as an academic institution, research, publication of books, case studies. So this is, of course, as a tertiary level institute, we should be involved in all these activities. IMF is now a daily event that we hear about. So even youngsters who are sitting here, young students, I'm pretty sure they also have some idea about IMF. So we are, a few months ago from, we are not going to take any dictation from IMF to 2 days ago that we will agree to all the terms of IMF. So in between, I think there were a lot of uncertainties, a lot of indecision making. So I think now all of us will feel the brunt, because now we have to, which should have been done gradually, as was said by the former finance minister, now it has to be done in one go, which means I think gas prices have already gone up by almost 85%. I think electricity rates are going to go up by a few percent. I don't know how much, but at least 20 to 30%. Fuel prices will go up because of levy needs to be imposed. And that will also involve high inflationary pressures in the country, which all of us will feel very soon. So a great time to launch a book on alternative to the IMF and the other out-of-the-box solutions. I keep on arguing with Dr. Wizarat. She doesn't agree with me that maybe this is a long-term solution. What about tomorrow? What about day after tomorrow, that we are sitting on a $4 billion reserves? And I think by June we have to pay about $4.5 billion in debt. And then they're hoping that half of it will be rescheduled one way or the other by the friendly countries. But still, what about the import bills? What about import of necessary essential items? My wife has been looking for a medicine, which is a thyroid medicine. It's not available in the market. I had to go to Abbott directly and request them, can you please provide me with that medicine? And they're saying that because the raw material is not coming. Why the raw material is not coming? Because we don't have dollars to pay for it. I think Bashir Saab is one of the biggest importers of palm oil, and he can, I'm sure in his speech he's going to mention that. I think almost 900 containers are sitting at the port. So there are some excellent ideas by Dr. Wizarat. The only thing, Dr. Wizarat is very, very confident that this can be implemented right away. We don't have to go to this 9th review of IMF. We should not agree to it. I think myself or Bashir Saab might have a contradictory type of point of view on this, but we'll see. We'll hear other speakers, and hopefully whatever Dr. Wizarat is coming up with solutions, hopefully policymakers will look at it and maybe try to implement some of those ideas, so that this vicious cycle of IMF and vicious cycle of getting loans and debt from other countries, that we come out of it. I mean, we are sitting on this huge natural resources in this country, which we have no idea on how to utilize it. So hopefully, with these ideas, things will be on the right path. But I can tell you now, and especially to young students, that things are going to be difficult this year, extremely difficult. 2023 is going to be difficult. At least till fall, don't worry, we are not going to raise your fees. We are going to take the brunt of all the expenses. Things have become very expensive, but we won't put any load on you at this stage, and at least until fall. So you be relaxed, and your parents should be relaxed about that. So thank you very much for being here, and I think let's hear the speakers, the distinguished speakers who are here. And I wish Dr. Wizarat the very best. I think you'll be visiting other cities for other book launching in Islamabad and Lahore. So I wish you the very best, and I hope that the right corridor, the right people will read the book and try to implement some of your ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those comments, Mr. President. To share his views on the book, I'll now welcome Ambassador Hasan Javed. Please step on the podium.
Assalamu alaikum. Honorable President Talib Karim Sahab, respected Bashir Janmohammad Sahab, respected faculty members, and dear students. Previously, I thought I will make an extempore speech as usually I prefer to do, but since the issue is a quite serious issue, and the book is written, I think, for among the first of such books on such literature in this field, this deserves a formal, I think, commentary or review. And but before that I start, I would just like to begin with Iqbal's poetry, just a couplet. निशाने राह जो दिखाते थे सितारों को, तरस गए हैं किसी मर्द राहदां के लिए, ढूंढने वाला सितारों की गुजरगाहों का अपनी अफकार जिंदगी सहर कर न सका, जिन्होंने सूरज की शुआओं को गिरफ्तार किया, अपनी जिंदगी की शब तारीकी में सफर कर न सका. इकबाल in another place he says, अफराद के हाथों में है अक़वाम की तकदीर, हर फर्द है मिल्लत के मुक़द्दर का सितारा. As a diplomat and an ambassador, and who has visited 60 countries of the world, got educated in 5 international universities in different programs, and have served in 8 countries of the world, written 10 books, and with also knowing the few languages, including the Chinese, which I have been teaching in NUST for the last 7 years. Now I just come back to Karachi because जब शाम होने लगती है तो परिंदे भी अपने घोंसले की तरफ वापस जाते हैं. तो अभी शाम नहीं हुई है, लेकिन एक और सुबह के लिए. तो my comments would be, it is my great pleasure to speak about Dr. Shahida's book, because this is the book I read probably the quickest in my life, although I have read thousands probably books, but this was the quickest I have done, because I have done it in 4 days, 3-4 days. And I've done it, and not only when I read books, I actually reflect on them. I don't just go through. I write my reflection, introspection on the sidelines. So I did with this book. So this becomes a colored book. Actually, inside it is colored with all the remarks. So it's my great pleasure to speak about Dr. Shahida's book, Alternative to IMF, published recently. The book's launch is very timely. as 28 developing countries, including Pakistan, have been shortlisted in the forecast of IFIs to have real chances of economic meltdown if they continue with their current policies, which are paradoxically drawn by IMF itself. That's very interesting. It is the same policies that IMF thinks is responsible for economic meltdown of these states, which it has drawn. So, with the current policy, which are paradoxically drawn by the IMF itself, in a way, IMF needs to acknowledge clearly failure of its own prescriptions, conditionalities, wisdom, and programs. But this is a different issue. I'm not going to speak on that. Dr. Shahida's book is a remarkable addition to literature on this subject. It should be read by not only all policy makers, political leaders, scholars in developing countries, particularly Pakistan, because we now are at crossroad. I would say even worse than a position, worse than crossroad. We are on the edge. So, and that I will tell you, because I myself have contributed a dozen articles on IMF papers, and also my books have been also, although mainly drawn on China, but experience. You know, one of the interesting thing I want to tell to the students, when I was a student 43 years ago in China, China was 25 years behind Pakistan. And I mean, Pakistan had a 30% more per capita income and very advanced compared to China. So I used to ask my fellow students, what is the problem in your country? Why you are, despite all this, big country and resources, why is your country so backward? They used to shy away because, as you know, the system at that time was that even shadows could chase you. So they were, but whenever they got time, they told me, it's the policies that make us this. So this piece of wisdom is very important. It's the policies that make you that way. So Dr. Shahida's book appears as so it should be also read by leading scholars in developing countries, but by IMF's wise men also. And IMF's wise men are known as hitmen these days. Further, Dr. Shahida's book appears as a hybrid book meant to fight a hybrid war with hybrid knowledge, combining economics, diplomacy, politics, and statecraft. Actually, it is many disciplines in one, drawn around economics. But it is a hybrid book and very interesting book. This book should be made, in my view, a textbook for students in all the universities, teaching whether economics, diplomacy, statecraft, public administration, genetics, or even what you call as politics, political science. Because this book combines everything. It should be on the shelf of all those who deal with development issues, particularly in countries struggling with indebtedness like ourselves, underdevelopment like ourselves, illiteracy, poverty, and backwardness, and you name it, and we have everything. Dr. Shahida's book consists a remarkable analysis of all development issues as well as solutions with strategic clarity. It's very important. The one that I am mentioning it, with strategic clarity. Because as a professional, as one who has served in the highest levels of government of Pakistan, and after that, nearly 44 years, I can tell you, strategic clarity is, at that moment, you can understand, one day we agree to not to go to IMF, the second day we say we agree to all the terms and conditions. Where is the strategic clarity? We are a confused lot. So this is very important. In her book, she gives a strategic clarity. One may agree with her book views, one may not agree with her views, but she gives her views. She seems to be on the top of what she is talking about. In some paragraphs, she repeats her stance to convince the reader. She wants the reader to understand. So she repeats the paragraphs in some. Some of these statistics may be outdated, but nevertheless, they are a very good reference material because the issues have remained the same, as have been the solutions employed by the same set of tested and failed dual nationals, IFI hitmen and foreign agents. Because, the issues are the same, the solutions have been the same, the people implementing them are the same. So these statistics are a good reference material. No country is, in my view, so unkind to itself, its masses, and its future as has been Pakistan's rulers and elite. Particularly since the brutal IMF program was launched in 1989, and it has continued one after another, with the exception of 4 years from 2004 to 2008. That's another story. So Dr. Shahida is blunt, honest, and minces no words. I mean, she takes IMF to its, she completely undresses the IMF policies. Completely. Leaves no room for them to. So Dr. Shahida is blunt, honest, and minces no words. Her outlook and prescriptive economics is for global audience, particularly developing countries. This is very important because don't limit her to, I was telling her कि Dr. Sahiba, आपकी कदरो मंजिलत तो मैं उस ज़माने से करता हूँ जब मैं एक स्टूडेंट होता था और आप दोनों बहनें कराची यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ाती थीं, आप शायद पाइड में होती थीं या कराची यूनिवर्सिटी में, कुछ इसी तरह का धुंधला सा मुझे याद पड़ता है. तो मैंने कहा कि आपकी कदर मंजिलत तो मुझे पहले से थी, लेकिन इस किताब के बाद ये कदर मंजिलत आसमानों पे चली गई है. You see, as a man who has seen these issues from a very, very close angle, and also having worked in the government of Pakistan for the last, I would say, 44 years, 37 years in the foreign service, and 7 years in the teaching profession, also in Islamabad, I can tell you that Pakistan was not in this situation before 1989. Well, we were going on, of course, we had issues, but 1989, in my view, again, that deserves another book because I keep on writing books. My fear is only that my wife doesn't run away. Because, you see, when you write books, you keep silent. Okay, so I will just limit to what Dr. Shahida has done. So I can say that Dr. Shahida appears to be a revolutionary a rebel, but not of the Che Guevara or Ho Chi Minh type. She's down-to-earth professional with views anchored in what is called left of the center. But I find her a Pakistani patriot, nationalist, who is fighting to save the country from its present state of collapse. Very, very passionate. Like her, I too believe that what is happening is part of a grand design. Very sad. With the connivance of Pakistani elite and external hostile powers. It's very, very tragic moment in our history. I don't know where, actually, we are all trying to see that things don't go to that extent, but it is. So there is no appetite for alternative to IMF. Although the book it gives that, and I have, gone through that. Society is porous, full of hitmen and foreign agents at all levels of power. One only hopes that it does not lead to anarchy, chaos, and bloodbath, as it happened in the Arab Spring and with the former Soviet Union and the former Soviet Yugoslavia. Nothing is permanent in this world. The only thing permanent is uncertainty. One only hopes that it does not lead to anarchy, chaos, and bloodbath as the external powers due to geopolitical preoccupation. They want to strengthen Indian domination in the region. That's plain and simple. Weaken Pakistan, the Islamic world, the world's only Islamic nuclear power state. It is obvious that these hitmen have worked as economic terrorists to damage Pakistan's security when our soldiers are dying to save the border. And we do punish the terrorists, but why don't we punish the economic terrorists? My question is. They are using the state to demolish the state, as Shahida calls it. This is why they need SBB governor to become governor general instead. Usko ek general bana do. Governor ko general bana do साथ governor general add it. So that Pakistan can be governed like the East India Company way. We have not got out of East India Company. CPEC provided an exit for us, but CPEC silenced do more mantras and provided an alternative. But the second phase of CPEC, in my view, is stalled. As we refuse to undertake reforms, engage the Chinese, and provide them security. At present, we are suffering for double jeopardy. Nobody takes us seriously. We are neither getting CPEC second phase speedily done, nor we are having the blessings of the Western countries who are putting all the investment in India. Nobody takes us seriously now. There is no strategic clarity. The West cannot sacrifice India and their long-term interests of containing China for the sake of Pakistan. All the Western investments are going to India, while we are left with their hitmen, dual nationals, and foreign spies who use their convent English and continue to give us what Shahida calls it. You cannot get different results by doing the same thing again and again. Law of insanity, as Einstein used to say. IMF programs classically are demand management and austerity measures, with tight monetary policy raising the interest rates to check inflation, tight fiscal policy to generate budget surplus, devaluation to promote exports, raise in utility and fuel prices to discourage demand. These conditionalities are known as Washington Consensus. Ever since 1991, and have devastated the developing countries including Argentina, Ghana, Egypt, Zambia, Pakistan, etc. These IMF policies run counter to ground realities, economic rationality, and what the economists call elasticity. IMF programs are the biggest hurdle in undertaking the reforms, as these promote dependence to perpetuate the so-called rules-based order, which are neither rules nor an order. Pakistan does not need IMF program, as it is blessed with all kinds of resources, as you heard President IoBM saying. Pakistan doesn't lack in resources. It lacks in resourcefulness. What it lacks is leadership. What it lacks is a pro-Pakistan elite. IMF hitmen have created a debt trap which can be resolved if we have credible national leadership with honest Pakistani team of economists and professionals. Turkey is an example which said goodbye to IMF program successfully. Dr. Shahida touches a number of subjects in her book dear to her heart. Just I will take 1 minute. Dr. Shahida touches such as GMOs. You know, I was made knowledgeable on GMOs. I had not taken it that seriously. But GMOs created also foreign exchange issues for Pakistan, not only health issues. Afghanistan, Russia, China, Iran, corona pandemic, food security, energy security, SBP, Jammu and Kashmir, SCO, Asia's rise, Asia Monetary Fund, sins on failures of economic planning in Pakistan, the role of caretaker government. She touches almost all issues that is needed on, for a alternative to IMF. She also touches diplomacy, like Asia-Pacific versus Indo-Pacific, Cold War II, and the need for Pakistan to have strategic clarity. She comes up with a detailed and comprehensive framework. Let me tell you, she has a short-term framework also, she has a medium-term framework also, and she has a long-term framework also in her book. I have outlined, I can find at least 99 ways to say goodbye IMF. We don't need IMF. We can do it ourselves. We are a nation, I don't want to repeat of the resources. But this game has been played too, you see, her prescription needs to be taken seriously, not only in Pakistan, but all developing countries to see the real face of IMF and IFIs. The key objective of which is to perpetuate global inequalities, promote genetically modified food products, exploitations, conflicts, and wars, particularly wars, to avert their own recessionary cycles. वो अपने मुल्क में रिसेशनरी साइकिल को रोकने के लिए दूसरी जंग में दूसरे इलाकों में वॉर करा देते, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट करा देते. So, but this game has been played for, in my view, for too long, and it has outlived its utility. After the rise of China and the revival of Russia, China's Belt and Road Initiative for building a community of shared destiny has been signed by 150 states, with the exception of India. And 28 international organizations have also signed it. Global Development Initiative and Global Security Initiative of China offers win-win solutions for the tormented world. In a thermonuclear environment, the Western world needs to forget that it can wage major war and also win that major war and survive to see its outcome. It's literally impossible. Everyone perishes. The West will have to reconcile with the new global realities. In my view, future belongs to Pakistan, come what may. मुस्तकबिल हमारा ही है, चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए. The Pakistani people will not accept India's domination and will be ready to eat, as you heard from the President IoBM, maybe one-time meal a day. That situation can also come. But we will save money for the defense forces of Pakistan. And we will also protect our nuclear program. Thank you, Dr. Shahida, for enlightening not only myself, but the whole Pakistan. And let me tell you, your book is going to be very well received, because no book has been written like this book. Thank you.
I will request the speakers to limit themselves to 10 minutes, because we have to meet the schedule. So 10 minutes, please, per speaker.
Now to present his views on the book, I would invite Engineer Abdul Jabbar, Vice President of the Federation of Pakistan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to share his insights on this topic. Thank you, sir.
thanks to Dr. Saba. So she asked me a couple of days back. I was in Islamabad, and I really rushed back yesterday night, came very late, only to say, say few words that should be restricted and limited, as I think I'm always answerable to performance of a discipline. I see 10 minutes, so let me make 10 minutes, you see. Now, having said so, let me start from very recent events. The Chinese diplomats came in FPCCI. So we were discussing, say, why you people are not becoming more active. So the answer was that the Chinese side, say, whatever you call it, is not interested to be more active or proactive during at least coming year, up to the coming year. That would show how the world is now looking at Pakistan, that whatever is the situation, say, in this situation, they would not be involved anymore, let's say, considering the prescription of Panadol relief. Australian High Commissioner came, so one of our colleagues, he said, well, you are an ambassador, and why don't you really ask the Australian side to consider Pakistan as a good place for making investments? So the High Commissioner said, you give me one reason, one good reason, where I should be influenced by your advice and ask the Australians to invest in Pakistan. So I don't want to give you another 6 reasons. I normally quote whatever I'm listening from these people. I was just talking. Having said so, let me try to also for 1 minute say that I'm really, I can say my frequency more or less runs, if not parallel, then very close to Dr. Shahida Wizarat's mind, because I've been coming here on her invitation several times. Say it is not the frequency, the way energy got out for a 1 day, for which I was in Islamabad. So Mr. Musaddiq Malik was giving certain reasons. So that also relates to whatever is happening today, you see. And then I come back to the IMF. That people who are the students of science, I'm a power system engineer basically, but became more practicing economist than anything else. That the frequencies went little up and down, and nowadays the SCADA system is based on, sort of microseconds and all that. He gave reasons which were really beyond a belief, and I would just think that how Pakistani ruler now has learned how to befool us, you see, considering that we are all fools, you see. Anyway, now let me talk about Dr. Saba's book. Say this book, 408 pages, and this book, you see, 67 chapters, like that. So I was yesterday in the plane for 2 hours, I ran through. And again in the morning I caught up. I wanted to catch it up because I have to talk on this book at many places, you see. So now, having said so, this, one can say that, if you can just look at the topic, alternative to the IMF, but she also extends beyond. She said, and other out-of-the-box solutions. That is why, you see, when I was just consolidating or making compendium of my thoughts about this, so I could find a rescue for my own explanation that, and other out-of-box solutions, because she has touched on so many past events. Even she has referred to some, people who have written in a few of the, newspapers. So those thoughts, and then their departures and deviations, and how the State Bank of Pakistan, whose independence I was fighting, that it is not an independence of State Bank of Pakistan. It is independence of an institution from the whole system, you see. And that came true, because when State Bank Governor came to FPCCI, I said, look, it appears that you are the strongest governor of SBP in the history of my attending all these material matters in FPCCI since last, you see, quarter of a century. I'm there for the last 25 years in FPCCI. Our senior is just beside you, you see. We learned from his guidance. They were and they are Pakistanis, and we were learning. Now, having said so, that she has also touched about, the SBP governor, because SBP governor, you cannot exclude from what we are looking at alternatives, and some alternatives always I think, come from nothing but the policy and development of the policies. Having said so, I must say, when this law was being passed, we were trying to sort of oppose it on many reasons. That, well, look, she has also written that this law would only focus and concentrate on, you see, money depression or appreciations, more or less what we call inflation taming, discount rate, repo rate, and all that. But what about the growth economics in which State Bank was playing a role? It came to almost termination, but I told the governor that, look, Mr. Governor, you are a governor backed up by GHQ, because when this law was being passed, everybody was just made to be a good herd, tamed herd to come to the legislation, backed up by the Pakistan Army, which was involved in this legislation. So let me just make some other comments on her book, because I think that what is the situation she is trying to, tell us. The situation is that from the abnormality, we want to go to the normality, you see, let's say in economics. Hasan Javed also touched upon that. So there should be some treatment, but then the treatment on a recurring basis with the same prescription. Believe you me, I was always asking people at senior level in government of Pakistan that what are the reforms which IMF has been talking? Probably IMF programs and the reforms means that reforms are the super vitamins which they will carry forward this program, and we are out of the situation which we presently are. It is a total cascaded effect which we are facing. So shouldn't we, with respectfully and with abundant caution, blame IMF to be responsible for today's outcome of the whole situation? I'm very conservative. I try not to allege people, but I try to understand if there is any space of respectfully criticizing some of the things. So you just keep on, it was what Einstein said, that you keep on trying the same thing, expecting the different results. It's not possible. As far as the school of thought of economics is concerned, Milton, Friedman, starting from, let's say about a half a century and all that, things actually IMF is giving prescription on standard, methods, which sometimes I wonder why they have a pool of economics outsourcing, very rich organization or a company, why they are not picking up changes. For example, since 1 year in Pakistan, I find, people who are discussing about negative interest zones, Bashir Bhai should be there. And I was just wondering that why, when they're in the United States, in other countries, in Europe, and so many examples, you have inflation which is 400 times, 300 times as against the discount rate you just give for the development economics. Why this is not being considered for us? What could be the reason? In simple, she has rightly at a few of the things I have seen that she is rightly trying to lay an emphasis that the only solution of the discount rate, for example, being a main target to heal and, sort of improve the economy is, on the contrary, adversely affecting the whole situation, And if it continues so let us come now, the alternate to the IMF. If IMF is giving some prescription, what is our skill? In a crisis-ridden situation, it is the skill you negotiate with the people, It is the skill you should have to, make others to understand that this type of approach is not working for us. So this is where she is trying to touch, that I fairly remember that 72 experts, including Hafiz Pasha and all that, they just put up a paper, a decade and a back story, And who is not listening? On the IMF also, I wonder really when it started a theory, Dr. Ashfaq, I had so many conversations with him. And at that time, go, do not go, join, do not join. And finally, there were some good people who were thinking that, okay, go with the skill. You can convince them what to do and what not to do. But gradually now moving towards my 10 minutes history, which I have now today, is that probably I think we are heading towards a bigger disaster now. Because what should be the capacity, you see? I'm in the private sector also. My company must be closed. If I'm Pakistan, believe you me, I must close and go to Abdullah Shah Ghazi and pray that please arrange something alternate to the IMF for me. Having said so, then what government of Pakistan, why should not be seriously concerned? Now, I'm telling you a last thing which maybe Dr. Shahida somewhere has written, I've read your half book up till now, is that what could be the, you see, prime reasons in continuation of the whole history in which we are not taking a recent past history in which Ishaq Dar got 34 waivers, you see. But then, let me also remind you one thing. Dr. Sabha, I think आपने कहीं आगे लिखा होगा कि मैंने हमेशा देखा है पाकिस्तान में कि इलेक्शन ईयर्स जब होते हैं उस वक्त जो है वो IMF को फौरी तौर पे लाना जो है वो काफ़ी एक मुश्किल टास्क नज़र आता है बिकॉज इलेक्शन ईयर का मतलब है कि यू जस्ट स्पॉइल द होल डिसिप्लिन ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स. डॉक्टर शमशादा 777 billion rupees she gave from SBP to be so liberal in terms of otherwise required controlling the subsidies and making adjustments, you see. And it was in the JPM government, General Pervez Musharraf government. And why she did so? Because JPM had already joined Chaudhry Shujat and company, so it was election year. And similarly, I tell you, it happened so with the subsequent governments, and here again I see a history repeating. Dar is a little bit reluctant, you see, because if he goes into a discipline, how it can become an election year? You have to pay 50 crores to each MNA. You are on a promised position. कि जाओ एक्सियन बनो, एग्जीक्यूटिव इंजीनियर बनो. आई टेल यू वन थिंग, मेरा ख्याल है कि मुझे कोई ज़्यादा, मैं मोहतात आदमी नहीं हूँ, बोलता रहता हूँ. मैंने एक MNA को देखा कि वो आया एक एग्जीक्यूटिव इंजीनियर के पास. मैं कहीं गया था, वो हमारे लाइक नेफ्यू. तो MNA साहब चले गए. मैंने कहा ये किस काम से आए थे? बोला जी इनको एक स्कीम मिल रही है, तो आए थे कि इसमें मुझे आप कितना परसेंटेज दोगे. तो all the MNAs become executive engineers on commission in this country. The problem is that कि administrative governance as another issue जो यहाँ पे मैं अभी कवर नहीं कर सकूँगा, मगर मैं थोड़ी सी बातें हमें से other out of the box solutions, yes, there could be, you see. अब IMF का जो डिसिप्लिन है वो हमें इस वक्त एक ये मजबूरी दिखा रहा है जिसमें सऊदीज़ ऑल ऑफ अ सडन डेवोस में उठकर कहते हैं कि जी हम तो पैसे देंगे मगर हम रिफॉर्म्स देखना चाहते हैं. मगर प्रॉब्लम इज दैट के बिलीव यू मी, आई नीड 2 hours टू टॉक. आई हैव बिन परसुइंग लाइक एनीथिंग कि भाई IMF का प्रोग्राम ठीक है, ओके एक्सेप्टेबल, मगर जो कह रही है कि इस रिफॉर्म से आपकी की जो GDP ग्रोथ होगी दैट विल बी कंडक्टिंग अ परफॉर्मेंस. एटलीस्ट हम पैसे तो वापस करते हैं. बशीर भाई आपको तो पता है, हम पहले जो है, कल मैं प्राइवेटाइजेशन कमीशन में था तो वहाँ पता चला लोगों ने क्या किया. जब पैसे वापस लिए तो सबसे पहले जो है वो पैसे इंटरेस्ट में किए जाते हैं माइनस, फिर प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट आता है, किसी को आप क्लियर करें, मगर उल्टा सिस्टम चल रहा था. द प्रॉब्लम इज़ दैट कि अगर ये सिस्टम इसी तरह चलता रहेगा तो फिर मेरा ख्याल है कि IMF के साथ इस इलेक्शन ईयर में कोई नेगोशिएशन की अच्छी गुंजाइश बनेगी या नहीं. आई एम नॉट होपफुल. सो लेट अस कीप ऑन, आई मीन से बेनिफिटिंग फ्रॉम द थॉट्स. जैसे डॉक्टर साहबा ने ये अटैम्प्ट की है, ये मैं आई वुड एग्री विथ यू कि दिस कैन बी ऑल्सो यूज एज ए रिकमेंडेड टेक्स्ट बुक. लेट दी बॉयज़, यू सी, दे शुड ट्रीट. इसमें आप देखेंगे पुरानी हिस्ट्रीज भी डॉक्टर साहबा लाई हैं. उसके बाद इनके आर्गूमेंट्स जो हैं वो इवन ग्लोबल, रीजनल, प्लूरीलेटरल, बायलैटरल, मल्टीलैटरल में भी हैं. अब मैं आपको एक और बात आखिरी मेरा ख्याल बताना चाहता हूँ, प्रॉबेबली बिफोर हम इससे ऑर्गेनाइजर्स ऑल्सो गिव मी ए स्मॉल वार्निंग, तो मैं उस वार्निंग को अवॉइड करने के लिए अभी कंक्लूड कर रहा हूँ. आई वॉज इन कानकुन, यू सी. अब IMF की बात ही चल रही है तो मुझे इंडियन अपना कॉमर्स मिनिस्टर के साथ थोड़ी इन 2-4 दिनों में WTO का मूड था, कुछ दोस्ती होगी, बातचीत होने लगी. He liked my thoughts and perhaps let me be very candid. हिंदुस्तानी तो था, मगर I also liked his thoughts. You see, more than I liked my own thoughts, let me tell you. और वो पहले लॉ मिनिस्टर भी रहा था इंडिया का. Anyway, वहाँ पे एग्रीकल्चर के ऊपर डिस्कशन थी कि एग्रीकल्चर में जो सब्सिडीज दी जा रही हैं वो डिस्टॉर्ट कर रही हैं उन मुल्कों की इकोनॉमीज़ को, जैसे पाकिस्तान जो बाहर एक्सपोर्ट्स में फिर कॉम्पिटिटिव नहीं रहता. मैं इसको 30 सेकेंड्स में वाइंड अप करता हूँ. तो मेरे साथ जब हम वापस आ रहे थे कैनकन से प्रॉबली टू न्यूयॉर्क फिर ऑनवर्ड्स, तो मेरे पास बैठने मुझे कहने लगा कि यार ये आपने एग्रीकल्चर सेक्रेटरी को आप जानते हैं? मैंने कहा हाँ, ही इज़ फ्रॉम CSP क्लास. यार ही नोज नथिंग, उसको कुछ पता ही नहीं था. मैंने कहा नो, एक्चुअली हिज प्रॉब्लम इज दैट ही नेवर वर्कड इन एग्रीकल्चर. दिस वाज द फर्स्ट असाइनमेंट ही गॉट व्हेन ही रोज टू द लेवल ऑफ ग्रेड 22. उससे पहले स्पोर्ट्स में था, हॉकी में था, किसी उसमें था, हमारा एक दूसरा औकाफ एंड हज में था. द प्रॉब्लम इज दैट कि हमारी अगर गवर्नेंस इस किस्म की अगर सस्टेन करेगी, कंटिन्यू रहेगी, तो इन IMF वालों के साथ उस स्किल और प्रोफेशन जिसमें मैं कहता हूँ कि एक एडजस्टमेंट की ज़रूरत है, क्योंकि आप भी यही बातें कर रहे थे कि अगर IMF नहीं तो और क्या. तो मेरे अपने ख्याल और क्या यही है कि अप्लाइड स्किल्स और दैट. बट नाउ आई एम कंक्लूडिंग दैट कि आई एम रियली थैंकफुल टू डॉक्टर साहबा जिन्होंने मुझे इजाज़त दी. मगर लेट मी अश्योर यू कि क्योंकि आई एम लकी दैट आई एम क्लोज टू द फ्रीक्वेंसी यू हैव ऑफ थिंकिंग, तो इंशाल्लाह ये आपके थॉट्स जो हैं ये बहुत जगहों पे हम पहुंचाएंगे. क्योंकि हम तो कहते हैं ना, इम्प्रूवमेंट्स आर अनएंडिंग. वी आल्सो लर्न बाय रीडिंग अदर्स, एंड स्पेशली आप की सोच मुझसे बहुत ज़्यादा ऊंची है. और सो एक ये भी वजह है कि मैं समझता हूँ कि आप हमारे टीचर भी हैं. आई एम एक योर स्टूडेंट. नाहल ही सही, अगर अहलियत का कोई दर्जा मिल जाए तो थैंक यू वेरी मच.
To enlighten us with his views on the book, I would now like to invite Mr. Azhar Jamil, Chairman, Citizens Alliance and Qaumi Mahaz-e-Azadi, for his speech.
जनाब सदर, शाहिदा विजारत, ख़वातीन व हज़रात, उर्दू इंग्लिश दोनों चल सकती है जी. तो मुझे बड़ी खुशी हुई जब शाहिदा मेरी बहन की तरह है ने मुझे किताब अपनी भेजी, अल्टरनेटिव टू द IMF. वैसे बातचीत तो होती रहती है, और मैं ज़रा सा मुख्तसर सा तारुफ़ करता चलूँ. मैं MBA तो किया था मैंने 68 में लंदन से, लेकिन मैं सियासत की तरफ चला गया था, सोशलिस्ट हो गया था, और मैंने सोचा कि वापस आऊँगा तो उसके लिए काम करूँगा. और मैं राज मोहम्मद ख़ान के साथ 69-70 से मैं मुंसलिक रहा, ता वक्त कि वो इस दुनिया से कूच कर गए. हमने अपनी आँखों के सामने इस मुल्क में जो तरक्की हुई है वो भी देखी, और ज़वाल पजीरी भी देखी. और बहुत ये नहीं कि कोशिश नहीं की. मुझे 50 साल से तो ज़्यादा, 55 साल हो गए सियासत में, और 25 साल से तो हम शाहिदा को भी अपने फंक्शंस पे बुलाते थे कि भाई तुम आकर के पॉलिटिकल वर्कर्स को कुछ इकोनॉमिक्स पे भी समझाया करो. तो शाहिदा आती थी. 96 पे मुझे याद है, फिर 2000 में याद है, तहरीक इंसाफ में भी गए थे हम, कोई 5 साल उधर रह करके आए, तो शाहिदा को उधर भी बुलाते थे. लेकिन ये सिचुएशन जो है, मेरे ख़्याल में जब हम IMF को बुरा भला कहते हैं तो असल में हम अपने आप को बुरा भला कह रहे हैं, हम अपनी एलीट को बुरा भला कह रहे हैं. क्योंकि IMF के पास आप गए हैं ना. आपको जब मुशर्रफ ने जो हथियार गिरा दिए थे, वॉर ऑन टेरर को सपोर्ट किया था, तो बहुत राइट ऑफ भी मिला और बहुत फैसिलिटी भी मिली. तो उस वक्त बहुत अच्छे मौके थे आपको कि अपनी पुट योर हाउस इन ऑर्डर. लेकिन हमने सारे पैसे उड़ाए, और ये था कि जितना इंपोर्ट कर सकते हो करो, एक्सपोर्ट तो बढ़ा ही नहीं. और हमने हर किस्म की तायुश का सामान ख़रीदा, मंगाया. और मसला ये आता था हमारे फाइनेंस मिनिस्ट्री के सामने کہ یار کرنٹ اکاؤنٹ ڈیفیسٹ جو ہے اس میں ہمارے امپورٹ زیادہ ہے ایکسپورٹ کم ہے، تو اس کے لیے آئی ایم ایف کس لیے ہے؟ ہم لوگوں کو بیل آؤٹ کرنے کے لیے ہے۔ تو آپ نے جب کولڈ وار کا زمانہ اور وار آن ٹیرر میں امریکہ کو جو سپورٹ کیا تو آپ کو یہ فیسلٹیز مل گئیں اور آپ کی عادتیں تو بالکل ختم ہو گئیں، خراب سے خراب تر ہو گئیں۔ آپ نے بات کی گورننس کی بھی بات ہے، ایم این ایز اور ایم پی ایس کا کام تھوڑی ہے کہ بجٹ لو اور ڈیولپمنٹ کام کرو، ڈیولپمنٹ کام کرنا ہے تو لوکل گورنمنٹ میں جاؤ، پروونشل اسمبلیز اور نیشنل اسمبلی کا کام ہے قانون بنانا۔ تو ہمارے ہاں تو آوے کا آوا بگڑا ہوا ہے، آئی ایم ایف سے بچ نہیں سکتے۔ آپ تو اب یہ آ رہے ہیں نا کہ آئی ایم ایف اوکے، بائیڈن اور شی جن پنگ کی ملاقات ہوئی بالی میں، ایمبیسڈر صاحب آپ کو معلوم ہوگا، پاکستان کا بھی اس پہ مسئلہ آیا، انہوں نے کہا آئی ایم ایف پہ چھوڑ دیتے ہیں، کیونکہ ہم چینیوں کی بھی نہیں سنتے، ہم کہتے بس ہماری دوستی ہمالیہ سے اونچی ہے اور سمندروں سے گہری ہے، اور کرتے وہ ہیں کہ بھئی چائنا کہاں جائے گا، اسے ہماری ضرورت ہے، ہم اس کی اسٹریٹجک ڈیپتھ ہیں، اس کی چائنا سی سے لے کے عریبین سی تک جو جوڑ کر رہے ہیں وہ تو ہم کر رہے ہیں۔ تو اب ان کو جو ہے فائنلی جو انسٹیبلٹی آئی ہے، جو وہ اپنے مورے کو لے کے آئے تھے اور 2018 میں، اور جو اس نے ڈیزاسٹر کیا، میں تو عمران کو جانتا ہوں، اس کے ساتھ 5 سال کام کیا، مجھے کوئی توقع نہیں تھی، لیکن صرف عمران قصوروار نہیں ہے، جو اسے لائے ہیں وہ زیادہ قصوروار ہیں، اور ان کو بھی اب اس سے گالیاں کھانی پڑ رہی ہیں۔ صبح تیری قدرت، صبح تیرا کھیل۔ یہ آج ہم کہاں کھڑے ہیں یہ تو آپ نے ہی بیان کر دیا، اور ہم بالکل انتشار کے دہانے کھڑے ہوئے ہیں۔ ہمیں جانا ہی ہے آئی ایم ایف کے اوپر، وہ بیل آؤٹ کریں گے، ہمیں سخت شرائط بھی ڈالیں گے، ساری شرائط غلط نہیں ہیں۔ آپ کو ایگریکلچر انکم پہ ٹیکس لگانا ہے، آپ کو شاپ کیپرز پہ رجسٹریشن کا تو ٹیکس لگانا ہے، جو لوگ ٹیکس دے سکتے ہیں ان سے آپ کو لینا ہے، لیکن آپ ایک مڈل کلاس سے لیتے ہیں یا غریبوں پہ ٹیکس ڈال دیتے ہیں، انڈائریکٹ ٹیکس، تیل کے دام بڑھاؤ، گیس کے دام بڑھاؤ۔ کہاں سے بڑھا ہے؟ یہ تو کمال ہو گیا ہے کہ حکومت اب عوام ہماری بغاوت پہ نہیں آئی ہے۔ مجھے یاد ہے کچھ سال پہلے، 6-7 سال پہلے، میں نے کہا معراج بھائی میں آتا ہوں آپ کی طرف تو کبھی ٹریفک لائٹس پہ دیکھتا ہوں ہر ٹریفک لائٹ پہ بھیک منگے آ جاتے ہیں، بڑا برا لگتا ہے۔ تو مجھے ان کے الفاظ یاد آتے ہیں، بہت برا لگ رہا ہے، اس وقت کا انتظار کرو جب تمہیں گریبان سے پکڑیں گے، پھر سوچنا۔ معراج محمد خان تو ایک بے مثال آدمی تھے، انہیں یہ سب چیزیں نظر آ رہی تھیں۔ اس طرح ایک وقت آئے گا، اتنا انتشار ہوگا کہ مارنے والوں کو نہیں معلوم کہ میں کیوں مار رہا ہوں، اور مرنے والوں کو نہیں معلوم کہ میں کیوں مارا جا رہا ہوں۔ اور ہم نے ہر طرف سے جا کر کے مسائل پیدا کر دیے ہیں۔ وے آؤٹ کیا ہے، اس پہ آئیں۔ شاہدہ نے بہت اچھی کتاب لکھی ہے، اور مجھے یہ بات پسند آئی کہ بے دریغ ہر چیز پہ اس نے کہا، اکنامکس پہ، پالیٹکس پہ، انٹرنیشنل افیئرس پہ، ہماری سوورنٹی کیسے انٹرنیشنل فائنینشیل انسٹیٹیوشنز اور امریکہ کے ہاتھوں گروی رکھی گئی ہے۔ ہاں کچھ سیاسی معاملات پہ میں ذرا میرے کچھ تحفظات ہیں، بٹ دیٹ از اوپن ٹو ڈسکشن اینڈ لیکن ہمیں ایک پروگرام پہ آنا ہے۔ میرے ایک دوست یوسف مستی خان کا انتقال ہوا تو اس کے لیے ریفرنس ہوئی، وہ عوامی ورکرز پارٹی کے صدر تھے، میرے اسکول کے زمانے کے دوست تھے، اور انہوں نے کہا بھائی لیفٹ ایک کیوں نہیں ہو جاتی؟ میں نے کہا بھائی چلو 10 گروپس بھی اگر ہیں تو کیا حرج ہے، یہ خواہش اچھی ہے کہ ایک ہو جائیں۔ میں کہتا ہوں ہم سب اپنی 1.5 انچ کی مسجد رکھیں، لیکن ہم ایک کامن میکسیمم پروگرام پہ آئیں، اب منیمم پروگرام نہیں، کیونکہ ہم زیادہ تر چیزوں پہ اگری کرتے ہیں، چھوٹی موٹی چیزوں پہ نہیں اگری کر رہے ہوں گے، لیکن جو لیفٹ جو باتیں کر رہا تھا معاشرہ پورا ایکسیپٹ کر رہا ہے، 90% سے زیادہ لوگ ایکسیپٹ کر رہے ہیں۔ کانسٹیٹیوشن میں لکھا ہوا ہے کہ مفت تعلیم دو میٹرک تک، صحت کے لیے بھی کر سکتے ہیں۔ تو ہم ایک پروگرام پہ اگری کریں، اور ہم الگ الگ بھی رہیں، لیکن لیبر کے لیے، کسانوں کے لیے، یوتھ اینڈ اسٹوڈنٹس کے مختلف فرنٹس ہیں ہمارے، اس پہ ہم لوگ مل کے کام کریں. اگر میرے پاس 10 ورکرز ہیں لیبر میں, آپ کے پاس 5 یا 10 ہیں, تو مل کر کے 50 لوگ کر سکتے ہیں. لیکن میں معاشرے میں ایک اتنی ایپتھی پا رہا ہوں. کوشش تو کر رہے ہیں, لیکن 2 مہینے ہو گئے. اب میں سوچ رہا ہوں, کیونکہ مفتاح نے بھی کچھ شروع کر دیا ہے, ہمارے تک بھی میسیجز آ رہے ہیں کہ بھائی کچھ کریں. ہم لوگ سٹیزنز آرگنائزیشن بھی اگلے ہفتے ایک راؤنڈ ٹیبل کانفرنس کر رہے ہیں آن واٹ نیڈس ٹو بی ڈن اکراس دا بورڈ. لوگوں کو بلائیں گے, ٹریڈ یونین سے, بزنس سے, اکانومسٹ, اکنامک جرنلسٹ. لیکن اب ہمیں ایک نیشنل ایجنڈا کی طرف آنا ہے, اور اس کے لیے ہم سب کو ورک کرنا ہے. اور آؤٹ آف دا باکس سولوشنز جو ہیں, تو اس میں کچھ باتیں آتی ہیں کہ دیکھیے آپ کو ٹیکس نظام فوری طور پہ کرنا ہے. آپ اگر سنا کہ دکانداروں نے منع کر دیا کہ اب نہیں دیں گے, ارے بھائی یہ تو حفیظ پاشا نے مجھے 30 سال پہلے کہا تھا, میرا اسکول کا دوست ہے, کالج میں بھی ساتھ تھے, باہر بھی ساتھ تھے. خیر نظریاتی طور پہ وہ ایک الگ سمت میں ہیں, ہم الگ سمت میں ہیں, قابلیت اس میں اپنی جگہ ہے. 30 سال پہلے اس نے کہا تھا کہ ہم ایک ٹیکس لگا دیں پر اسکوائر فٹ ہر علاقے کا دکان کے لیے, تو اس سے بھی بہت سارے پیسے آ جائیں گے. تو ہمارے ہاں تو مالز بنتے رہے ہیں, اگر ہم ٹیکس لگا دیں پر اسکوائر فٹ پر منتھ, ہر پان والا بھی 5,000 روپے مہینہ آپ کو دے سکتا ہے. بھائی 10,000 روپے دے دے گا آپ کو, couple of billions of dollars in rupees مل سکتا ہے. ایگریکلچر انکم پہ ٹیکس دیں, اس کے لیے سمپلیفائی کر لیں کہ ہمیں پر ایکر ہمیں مختلف کراپس کے لیے مختلف علاقوں میں کیا چاہیے ہے. اور آج کے حالات میں آپ دیکھیں, کہتے ہیں 7 لاکھ بچے ہمارے باہر گئے پچھلے سال, اس سال شاید اور بھی جائیں گے. جو نکل سکتا ہے اس ملک سے نکل رہا ہے. ہم تو ادھر ہی رہیں گے, اب ہمیں جانا کہاں ہے, ساری زندگی ادھر گزاری. لیکن میں شاہدہ سے کہوں گا, آپ سب سے کہوں گا, لیٹس ورک آن اے نیشنل ریفارم ایجنڈا, برنگ اٹ آؤٹ ان بلیک اینڈ وائٹ. آپ نے کس طریقے سے ایکسپورٹس کو بڑھانا ہے, کس طریقے سے آپ کو تعیشات کے معاملات کم کریں. اور ہم یہ بات کریں گے کہ 25% سول سیکٹر, سول گورنمنٹ, پارلیمنٹ, جوڈیشری کا خرچہ کم کیا جائے, 20% خرچہ فوج کا کم کیا جائے. اگر آپ یہ نہیں کریں گے تو آپ عوام سے نہیں مانگیں کہ آپ کے لیے کچھ اور تکلیف کریں اور وہ کمر باندھیں. اور یہ بہت آسانی سے ہو سکتا ہے. اتنی ویسٹیج ہو رہی ہے سول گورنمنٹ میں, 25% تو کچھ مسئلہ نہیں ہے. فوج کے اندر اتفاق سے میں نے بزنس بھی کی ہے. I've been a supplier of waterproof jackets and trousers, کیونکہ میرے پاس واٹر پروف فیبرک کوٹنگ فیکٹری تھی, تو میں فوج کے سسٹم سے بھی واقف ہوں. بہت آسانی سے 20% وہ خرچ کر سکتے ہیں. ایک بریگیڈیئر دوست نے مجھے بلایا کہ بتایا کہ اظہر بھائی اتنا مشکل نہیں ہے. مثال کے طور پہ ہم ٹینک ایکسرسائز کرتے ہیں تو ہم 4 پوائنٹس کو کور کرتے ہیں, تو 12 ٹینکس ہوتے ہیں, 48 ٹینکس کا پیٹرول بھرنا پڑتا ہے. اب کڑکی ہو گئی ہے تو ہم 4 ٹینکس استعمال کرتے ہیں, چاروں پوائنٹس کو کور کر لیتے ہیں, تو 44 ٹینکس کا پیٹرول کا خرچہ ہم نے بچا لیا. سو آؤٹ آف دا باکس سولوشنز تو ہم ہر منسٹری سے کہیں گے تم بتلاؤ 25% تم کیسے کم خرچ کرو گے, اور فوج بتلائے, جنرل عاصم منیر بنائے کہ کیسے یہ کم کریں گے. ضیاء الحق جب آیا تھا پہلے سال میں اس نے آ کر کے 10% کم کر دیا تھا, دکھانے کے لیے بڑا آسٹیئر آدمی ہے. تو بھائی تم 20% تو کر سکتے ہو, اور اب نہیں کرو گے, اور اپنے تمام تعیشات ختم کرو. سنا 2200 گاڑیاں منگا رہے ہیں, لگژری کارز. میں نے کل اخبار میں پڑھا, ان لوگوں کو کوئی شرم نہیں آتی. ان کے ساتھ ہوگا کیا, انہیں اندازہ ہی نہیں ہے. میں نے سب دیکھ لیا ہے, اور میں کہتا ہوں کہ ہم ایک ریفارم ایجنڈا پہ آئیں, ڈیٹیل میں 10-15 پوائنٹس اس کو لکھیں, اور ہم پولیٹیکل ورکرز, پولیٹیکل پارٹیز میں بھی کیمپین کریں گے. there has to be a national consensus. اور اگر میری مفتاح سے بھی ملاقات ہوگی تو میں کہہ دوں گا کہ بھائی یہ چیزیں کرنی ہیں, اور تم مانو یا نہ مانو لیبر تو نکلے گی. اب نہیں نکلے گی تو کب نکلے گی؟ یوتھ بھی نکلے گا, لیکن ہمیں ایک ڈائریکشن دینا ہے. میں یہ کہتا ہوں جہاں آپ نے ابتدا کی ہے تو اس پروگرام کے لیے بھی آؤٹ آف دا باکس سولوشنز کا سوچیے گا. بہت بہت شکریہ.
Thank you for those pearls of Mr. Azhar Jamil Saab. The next speech is from the author of the book and Professor Dr. Shahida Wizarat. Areas of, well, she's the author, as everybody knows. Her areas of interest are industrial productivity, profitability, concentration, economic policies, international financial institutions, debt management, political economy, national resources, conflict, and growth. She has served as the editor of Pakistan Journal of Applied Economics, and she is the director of the Applied Economics Research Center, the chief editor of Pakistan Business Review, and director research at IoBM. I would now like to invite Professor Wizarat to share her wisdom with the audience here. Thank you. Congratulations once again on the book.
Thank you very much, Dr. Before I actually tell you something about the book, let me try to clear some misconceptions. First of all, the book has short-term as well as long-term solutions. Particularly, if you read the chapter on alternative to the IMF, there I have given short-term, medium-term, and long-term solutions. Also, one very serious misconception is that people think that the moment we get short of reserves, foreign exchange reserves, then there is no other option but to go to the IMF. That is the precise reason why I have formulated this alternative, because if there is shortage of foreign exchange, that is why I have suggested in my alternative how we can do without foreign exchange, how we can find other ways where we don't need dollars. Because once we go to the IMF, if we go for the 9th and the 10th review, then my book has becomes irrelevant, and all other out-of-the-box solutions become irrelevant. Because what I have tried to do is, I have tried to show you how we can do without the dollars and pounds and euros. Because, for example, I and Dr. Mirza Aqil Beg, we were in the Russian Federation in June. And there we presented papers, and there were papers from the Valdai Club also. And actually, there are the Russians told us that they are very successfully trading with Iran without involving the dollar. They are trading in local currencies. And now you will be surprised to know that China and Saudi Arabia is, मतलब बिल्कुल अमेरिका और वेस्टर्न पावर्स ने सऊदी अरेबिया की किंगडम बना के उनको वहाँ बैठा दिया है. बट आप देखिए अपने आप को बचाने को, बिकॉज एग्जिस्टेंशियल थ्रेट है सऊदी अरेबिया को, बहुत से मुल्कों को. नाउ सऊदी अरेबिया एंड चाइना आर ट्रेडिंग इन लोकल करेंसीज. They are not involving the dollar in the oil program. Saudi Arabia will supply oil to China without involving the dollar. So those times are past when we were looking at our foreign exchange and we were thinking कि foreign exchange नहीं है तो IMF के पास जाना पड़ेगा. अगर IMF के पास चले गए then there is no, फिर कोई solution workable नहीं है, फिर IMF बताएगा क्या करना है. Achha, this is a collection of my articles that I wrote from 2011 to 2022, and that is why some of the articles जो 2011 में थे तो उनकी उस वक्त का डेटा है, जो 2012 में थे वो उस वक्त का डेटा है. So the data is not outdated. These articles were written at different points of time. So जिस वक्त वो लिखे थे उस वक्त का डेटा उस वक्त इस्तेमाल किया था. अच्छा, with regard to saying that IMF ka, we don't go to the IMF, we are taken to the IMF. And we are taken to the IMF because Pakistan has got everything else. We are a natural resource rich country. We have very good, skilled labor and professionals. We have a lot of natural resources. हमारे पास सब कुछ है. सिर्फ हमें एक तरीके से रोक के रखा गया है وہ یہ کہ ہمیں IMF کے پروگرامز لگا کے پھیٹی ماری جاتی ہے. تو ہمیں پھیٹی مارنے کے لیے IMF کے پاس لے جایا جاتا ہے, اس لیے نہیں کہ ہمیں ڈالرز دینا ہوتے ہیں. اینڈ پولیٹیشینز جو ہیں اس ملک کے, وہ جو آپ بات کر رہے تھے مفتاح اسماعیل کی کہ وہ بڑی اچھی اچھی آج کل باتیں کر رہے ہیں. اف یو میک ہم دا فائنانس منسٹر تو ہی از دا موسٹ لوئل slave of the empire. And the moment he is not in power, he is very patriotic, anti-IMF, anti-US. So this is the psyche of this country. اس ملک کے سیاستدانوں نے اس ملک کے لوگوں کو بالکل بیوقوف سمجھا ہوا ہے. جیسے پاور میں ہوتے ہیں they are the most loyal slaves of the empire, اور جیسے پاور سے ہٹائے جاتے ہیں very patriotic, very pro-China, very pro-Russia, very pro-Pakistan and anti-IMF. اچھا, ود ریگارڈ ٹو واٹ مسٹر اظہر جمیل سیڈ کہ IMF کی بھی کوئی چیزیں اچھی ہیں. IMF کا جو پروگرام ہے اٹ از ناٹ اباؤٹ ریفارمس. IMF کا پروگرام صرف یہ ہے کہ ٹیکسز بڑھائیں, آپ ٹیکس بڑھا کے ڈیٹ سروسنگ کریں. اینڈ دا مومنٹ the IMF پروگرام فنشز دیر آر نو ریفارمس. وہ جو ٹیکس جمع کیے تھے وہ ڈیٹ سروسنگ میں پے کر دیے. Now there are no reforms. So IMF کبھی ریفارمس کی بات نہیں کرتا. آپ دیکھیے کہ ابھی IMF کے پروگرام پہ ہے پاکستان, مگر we have 70 or around 70 people in the cabinet, and each time the government goes abroad they take an entourage of 60 ministers, they go abroad. تو IMF کے پروگرام میں ہونے کے باوجود I think IMF کا جو پروگرام ہے it is a connivance between the elites. I won't call them elites, I will call them opportunists. These opportunists and IMF and US, ان کے بیچ میں کنائونس ہے. لوگوں کو I mean it is hurting the people of Pakistan, it is hurting Pakistan's interests, but the elite class is totally untouched. They are living their luxurious lifestyles, ان کو کوئی فرق نہیں پڑتا. Anyhow, let me tell you about IMF کے ماڈل کا. میں آپ کو بتاؤں کہ IMF کے ماڈل میں جو میجر پرابلمس ہیں وہ یہ ہیں کہ they try to bring about, they say that Pakistan should close the trade deficit through bringing about through increasing exports, and exports are supposed to be increased through devaluation. Now for the last 30 years we've been trying to increase our exports through devaluation, but we've not been successful because there are our exports, many of our exports are inelastic. The demand is inelastic for exports, and that is why we've not been able to increase our exports through devaluing the currency. اس کی وجہ سے ایکسپورٹس تو چیپ ہو جاتے ہیں مگر ان کی ڈیمانڈ نہیں بڑھتی, بٹ امپورٹس بیکم ایکسپینسو. امپورٹس آر آن اکاؤنٹ آف آئل, انڈسٹریل را مٹیریل, کیپٹل گڈس, ان سب کی قیمتیں بڑھ جاتی ہیں. جب ان کی قیمتیں بڑھتی ہیں تو کاسٹ آف ڈوئنگ بزنس بڑھ جاتا ہے. کاسٹ آف ڈوئنگ بزنس بڑھتا ہے, اس سے انفلیشن آ جاتا ہے اکانومی میں. تو جب بہت اتنا انفلیشن آ جاتا ہے دین دے سے یو انکریز دا لینڈنگ ریٹ. لینڈنگ ریٹ جب بڑھانا چاہیے جب انفلیشن, ڈیمانڈ پل انفلیشن ہو. وین دا اکانومی از اوور ہیٹنگ اینڈ اس کی وجہ سے پرائسز بڑھ رہے دین یو کین انکریز دا لینڈنگ ریٹ. ہمارا انفلیشن کاسٹ پش ہے, ڈیویلویشن کی وجہ سے ہو رہا ہے. ڈیویلویشن کی وجہ سے کاسٹ آف ڈوئنگ بزنس بڑھ رہی ہے. سو دس از کاسٹ پش انفلیشن. اس کی ریمیڈی لینڈنگ ریٹ بڑھا کے نہیں ہوتی ہے. This is a total wrong prescription. So this is by way of summary what I wanted to say about the IMF program. And let me tell you about very briefly again about Pakistan, my own strategy. First of all, like I said, that increase in exports are expected to be brought about in my strategy through quality improvement and through exploring new commodities and new markets. For example, even if we make our exports cheaper, the demand for exports will not increase. We have to improve the standards, quality standards. We have to, for example, we are promoting GMOs in Pakistan. Now, many countries where we can export to, the Russian Federation, Central Asian Republic, 19 European Union countries, they have banned GMOs. So we cannot export food products to them. And our phytosanitary standards are very low. So I have suggested that we enhance our quality standards for our exports. Second is that in my strategy, the cost of adjustment is very marginal, because what I'm suggesting, banning the import of luxury goods, cars. So many cars are still being imported. And like President Talib Karim was saying, that medicines are not available. Life-saving medicines are not available, but cars are being imported. So this is the flaw with this model, IMF model. So what I've suggested is that we should ban the import of these luxury goods, and therefore this will be a minor, very minor cost that the rich and the affluent classes will pay. But this is very minor, only for a short period of time till we are able to get back to normal. Third, the proposed strategy tries to break the trade-off between economic adjustment and economic growth by trying to bring about an expansionary adjustment. हमारी जो adjustment है वो expansionary है. IMF की जो adjustment है उससे economy contract होती है. For example, recession आता है, lending rate बढ़ाते हैं, उससे recession आता है, तो it is an recessionary adjustment. हमारी जो है, for example, ईरान ने हमें ऑफर किया था 90s में that पाकिस्तान को हम ऑयल देंगे without charging in dollars. उनका था we want heavy mechanical complex से पाकिस्तान सीमेंट एंड शुगर प्लांट्स बना के उनको दे दे. सो इसकी तरह हम एक तरफ तो हमारे डॉलर्स बच जाते और दूसरी तरफ हमारा इकोनॉमी एक्सपेंड करती है क्योंकि हम सीमेंट एंड शुगर प्लांट्स बना रहे होते हैं, तो उसकी वजह से आउटपुट बढ़ता, employment बढ़ती. So this is an expansionary adjustment which I have proposed. Similarly, the Russian Federation is also saying that they want to trade in local currencies, and Iran is saying that they want to trade in barter trade. So this is what I have suggested in my alternative. तो इससे हमारी economy expand करेगी, हमारा output बढ़ेगा. And fourth, the IMF model tries to increase foreign exchange reserves by increasing exports only. Whereas I have suggested that Pakistan is a very rich country. हमारे जो natural resources हैं वो अभी भी we are giving them for free. मुल्कों को भी दे रहे हैं, foreign companies को भी दे रहे हैं. हमारा जो नगर पाका में चिकनी मट्टी है, we are giving that to a friendly country for zero royalty for 100 years. And similarly, हमारे जो सेंधक है वो तो थोड़ा सा बेहतर उसका डील थी, मगर जो आप देखिए रिकोडिक टोटल बिल्कुल लूट मार हो रही है. पाकिस्तान के नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज की लिटरली लूट मार हो रही है. सो व्हाट आई हैव सजेस्टेड इज दैट वी शुड चार्ज मार्केट रेट्स फॉर आवर नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज. और जैसे नेटो ने पाकिस्तान का वो सारे रास्ते इस्तेमाल किए फॉर पीनट्स. एक वो जो उसका वो था गाड़ी, उसकी वो पे करते थे $250 ओनली, हालांकि उसको वेयर एंड टेयर से हमारी सारी मोटरवेज वगैरह ख़राब हो गई. तो हम लोग अपनी नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज और अपने वो जो हमारे रास्ते हैं राहदारी के, उसको हम लोग बिल्कुल वी गिव देम आउट फॉर फ्री और फॉर पीनट्स. सो आई हैव सजेस्टेड दैट वी चार्ज मार्केट रेट्स फॉर देम. आई मीन आई कांट गो इन थ्रू द डिटेल्स, बट वो सलाला का जो इंसिडेंट हुआ था उसमें पाकिस्तान ने 11-12 दिन उनको नहीं दिए बिकॉज हमारे फौजियों को नेटो ने शहीद कर दिया था. तो उस दौरान एक सेंट्रल एशियन मुल्क ने, छोटा सा मुल्क, उसने बिलियंस ऑफ डॉलर्स कमा लिए थ्रू प्रोवाइडिंग देम रास्ते. And the short-term measures that I have proposed are selective demand management, charging market rates for the use of our infrastructure, services and resources. And this will yield a very substantial amount to the external sector. हमें ये नहीं सोच के जाना है कि हमें फौरन चाहिए तो हम फौरन चले जाएं मेरे पास. हम फौरन अपने रेट्स बढ़ा दें. हम फौरन जिनको मुफ्त में दे रहे हैं मुफ्त में देना बंद करें, फौरन चार्ज करना शुरू कर दें. शॉर्ट टर्म सोल्यूशन हो गया. अच्छा, इस तरह मैंने पूरा बैलेंस ऑफ पेमेंट, टाइम नहीं है कि मैं सारी डिटेल्स बताऊं, बट फर्स्ट चैप्टर है उसमें मैंने बताया है कि थ्रू बैनिंग द इंपोर्ट ऑफ लग्जरी एंड कंज्यूमर गुड्स वी कैन सेव, वो 2019-20 के फिगर्स हैं, $3.15 billion can be saved like this. And then essential imports can be obtained on barter or local currency, and this will save a staggering amount of $10.05 billion in the short run. The medium to long-term measures include exploring substitutes for essential imports and exploring alternative commodities and markets for exports. Then implementation of Cartagena protocols, usko you can read through that. Then we will be able to export our food products to Russia, to 19 European Union countries, and also to many Central Asian republics. And ये जो है, when you keep nudging developing countries कि IMF के पास चले जाएं, उससे serious crisis हो रहे हैं, जो उसके पाकिस्तान इस वक्त is on top of the queue. We have the this development debt crisis, which is the mother crisis, which is giving rise to the development crisis, growth crisis, distributional crisis, social crisis, ये जो crimes वगैरह बढ़ रहे हैं, and finally political crisis जो पाकिस्तान में है, constitutional crisis, political crisis. So that is why I have suggested the present and past governments in Pakistan are totally cooperating with the international financial institutions and foreign powers to take us to this predicament that we find ourselves. और अगर आप ग्लोबल ट्रेंड्स पढ़ें, मैंने ग्लोबल ट्रेंड्स पढ़ी थी इस वक्त, वो उस वक्त नई नई आई थी, CIA का डॉक्यूमेंट है, और वो कहता है कि पाकिस्तान में जो सिनेरियो डेवलप किया है ग्लोबल ट्रेंड्स 2015 ने, वो कहता है पाकिस्तान जो है वो डिसफ्रेगमेंटेड होगा, बिल्कुल टूटा फूटा, सिर्फ हिंटरलैंड, सिंध का हिंटरलैंड और पंजाब के कुछ एरियाज, दिस विल बी पाकिस्तान, द रेस्ट विल बी बलूचिस्तान उसके साथ मिल जाएगा, ईरान के बलूचिस्तान के साथ. सो दे आर टेकिंग अस टू द विजन ऑफ पाकिस्तान दैट CIA मेड इन द ईयर 2000. ये 2000 का डॉक्यूमेंट है. So the thing is, my plea is that government of Pakistan should be stopped from going to for the 9th and the 10th review of the IMF, because if we go for the 9th and the 10th review, then everything I have written has become irrelevant, because I'll be told कि अब option नहीं है, अब IMF सब तय करेगा. Now, Indian leadership is pursuing Indian interests very blatantly and aggressively. India is a member of Quad, but it is ignoring US decisions totally, and it is following Indian interests. And when I point this out, I'm told that because we are on the IMF program. So that is why it is very important, if Pakistan has to pursue its interests, we have to not go to the IMF again. And one very important thing, again, Sadia Mansoor, Mirza Aqil Beg, and Irfan Lal, three of my colleagues at the IoBM, they did a study on whether Pakistan can continue to borrow from the IMF, and they found that till the year 2019, our foreign borrowing was just sustainable. But from 2019, our foreign borrowing has become unsustainable, which means that if we borrow, we will not be able to return those loans. And this is a study which was done by them. किस साल में की थी आपने? 2018. So now if we go to the IMF, सब ये argument है कि पाकिस्तान अगर नहीं जाता IMF के पास तो डिफॉल्ट कर जाएगा. मेरा यह आर्गुमेंट है कि अगर जाएगा तो डिफॉल्ट कर जाएगा, as the study shows. And finally, I think we all should try to influence all those in the corridors of power not to pursue the IMF program when superior alternatives are available. My alternative is far superior than the IMF model. So I would once again request all of you to read my book carefully. If those of you who haven't read it, please read it, and you will find out how my alternative is far superior. And then let's work together. I think एक बहुत अच्छी बुनियाद IoBM ने डाल दी है. Our colleagues have done this study, I have done this study. So I think IoBM can be the center of, a center where we are going to raise Pakistan's interests and talk about issues which are very close to the hearts of all those who are patriotic and who are competent and who know the way, why, and where we are being taken to at the moment. Thank you very much. I would also like to thank President Talib Karim and IoBM for sponsoring my study, for paying my publishing costs to the publisher. Thank you.
I would now like to invite Mr. Bashir Janmohammad, Chancellor IoBM, to please share his thoughts on this occasion with us.
Of course, I have a lot of subject of connectivity, the main issues like this. Now, this debate, and I think Madam Wizarat is suggesting that we should get off of IMF program right now, and we should not sign the review program being held today. Is it practical? Very, very difficult. We are in a bad situation, but when we have got reserves of 4 billion only, and we have got the debts in a big way, and today, dollar is devalued to 250 rupees officially, today, just now. So, we have to find, at least for some time, we have to continue with IMF program. You had very emphatically said that if you start this, then there is no end to it. But when we are at a situation where we are starving, I tell you, I am in industry, the edible oil industry. If the documents are not paid, there will be no edible oil in Ramzan. If the documents are not paid, there is no wheat in Ramzan. If the documents are not paid, every other things. Now, when I was talking to the government a few days back, and they told me that prices of edible oil has gone up. Yes, definitely. I said prices only go down if you allow us to import. If you don't allow a thing to import, how the hell do you expect the prices to go down? So at the moment now, very simple arithmetic. 70 billion import, minus what the madam said, 3-4 billion luxury. 25 billion export, 25 billion remittance, difference 20 billion. In a good situation. In today's situation, remittance are low because of the black market dollar. Exporters. What I had dealt with the barter trade, and madam, I understand the barter is very best alternative. But what you have to offer, tell me. What can you export? Yes, right. If you term a long-term policy, maybe you can do something. Textile. Textile export highest. Jabbar will confirm with me. In textile, 70-80% component is cotton. Half of the cotton you have to import. So your textile export, if there are 10 billion, there are only 6 billion. Because you import against it. So the situation today is so precarious and so extremely bad. Of course, for the reason that for 30 years we are following IMF program, right or wrong. So we cannot get out immediately. Therefore, I think, madam, with due respect, the Pakistan, I don't want to use the word which Prime Minister used, the beggars had no choice, but situation is only like that. And today, I think you can respond later on, but today, situation is this, we have to go for IMF program at any cost. Now, again, coming back to other thing. Are the politicians, I think this has been said by many of my friends, are they willing to do something for the country? Are they willing to take seriously a long-term plan? Are they willing to sit together and resolve the issues? The answer is no. The answer is unfortunately no. So what we can say, the system has failed. I will not blame any politician, but the system has totally failed. I can give you one small example. One of the cotton seed vessels are blocked for last 2.5 months. The industry is paying billions of dollars damage. One particular minister is not moving the file from the table. We had gone to Prime Minister also. He is not moved. So, unfortunately, the system has failed. The political stability, political things have changed. I would tell you one thing that I have been associated from 1965. Which was the best government? Very difficult to say. But according to my thinking, the progress came only Ayub Khan's time. Musharraf's 5 years were very, very good. And then, why politicians are failing? 3 reasons. Number one, there is not a unified party in Pakistan, not a single. Number two, most of the parties are backed by the corruption. And most of the parties, as one of my friends said, I think, that you put an agriculture secretary who never gone to agriculture industry. He is a 22 grade man, he doesn't know industry. And you put him, so wrong people at wrong time. Now that secretary at least has a 22 grade and he has brain. But how many ministers has brain? There is a minister of food security, doesn't know what food is, believe me. I intend with me. So, unfortunately, madam, we are in a situation where at the moment we have to go with the program A. Number two, all of us, as I think my friend has said, has to contribute to the long-term plan, and long-term plan, we have to sell it to the public. I always tell the people, don't sell your plan to government. Sell your plan to public. And public should go on the road and say, okay, you have to do this. Because politicians have failed. I don't want to comment on army because that's not my jurisdiction. I think that is out of jurisdiction. So I would not like to comment on that.
Who has the army failed? Everyone has failed.
I will not, I'm not as brave as you are, sir. Anyway, sir, so the alternate suggested by madam, now I'll tell you. Few days back we met the finance minister. I know him for the last 20 years. I told him that your policy of the dollar will not work. Open market 270, 260, 230, 225 will not work. He said, Bashir Saab, मैं इसको 200 पे ले आऊँगा. He repeated the word thing he said. I said, sir, इसको तो आपकी बात को आप पीछे रखें. Because I had little bit blunt with him. I said, sir, when I was president of stock exchange, we had bonus voucher scheme. Jabbar knows it. In bonus voucher scheme, you sell your exports at the market rate. And you finance the imports. Therefore, if the import prices goes up and dollars goes up, the quantity will go down immediately, the item not needed. क्योंकि आप लिपस्टिक आज 100 रुपये खरीदेंगे 500 की तो नहीं खरीदेंगे. That scheme like that has to work. Barter. I had a very big experience on barter, madam. There are 3 barter companies in Pakistan 20 years back. One from Sweden, one from Denmark, other countries. And I imported under barter palm oil from Malaysia. And we exported rice. Tell me one thing very bluntly. Have we got the export surplus today? The biggest export in the most of the countries without product is IT. India. He can give more figures than me. Jabbar knows much better. Are we able to, madam has said, improve quality. Now coming to quality, she has written a subject agriculture also. And I read practically half of the book. Agriculture. I'm in it also partially. our yield is the minimum possible, lowest possible in the world. Have we ever tried to work on that? I'll give you my own default. I'm in an industry where the second import largest is edible oil. I'm in that industry from 1965. 1975, the government of Pakistan formed a corporation of oil agriculture production. From 1975 to 1988, I was member. Believe me, we used to call Islamabad, fortunately, as Jabbar and we do, we don't charge government, we pay our own tickets. Presentations were made, and not a single work has been done. An unfortunate part, and practical experience. I brought a team, I've become more patriotic than I should have. I brought a team from Malaysia for plantation of palm oil. One of the great ministers of Sindh government, People's Party man, but great man, Mr. Sikandar Mandrio, was the minister. With him we bought 200 acres only, not of land at coastal area, and we started. At our own cost, spending about 50 crore rupees, we decided to go ahead on that. Mr. Sikandar Mandrio went, transferred somewhere. The next minister said, why the hell you got the land? The Malaysians said, thank you very much. Now, but good, in spite of all this, let me put it the other way. I'm still a positive person. I don't want to be said that we are default or we are negative. We have seen those who are senior to me or my age. We have seen war also, 65. We have seen 1907 debacle also. We have seen economic crisis also. So people say this crisis is worse. Maybe it is worse. But we have the tendency of getting out for the reason that this right or wrong, the foreign policy will be very difficult for us to control if we want to control economic policy. The IMF or USA or East Western Bloc had a particular way of doing things. They will cripple us. I fully agree. They will cripple us. And they will cripple us and then dictate their own terms. But I say, when you don't have to eat, what will you do? Today if we don't have the edible oil or wheat, roti 30 rupees, 40 rupees ho gayi. Ab 100 rupees roti आप लोग कर सकते. So therefore we are in a very bad situation. But very rightly, the ambassador said very rightly, and I think very openly pointed out by Jabbar, that I am the one country, I was listening to, I'll take 2 minutes more, 5 minutes. I was listening to the interview of the Chaudhry Nisar after many years. He was asked, who is can be a best friend Pakistan? He said, China. Ambassador Saab is here, he's given me a very book, I will go through it. But what Jabbar said, the Chinese clearly told them that we are not in it. Why? Because we never kept a balance between the West and the China. India, it was said by Madam very rightly so. India is dictating term. India has got such a huge reserve. We have got no reserve. India is such a patriotic people, right or wrong. They are against Muslims, right? And we hate India. But India had a patriotic political party today for themselves. For us, it is very bad. So I think we have to blame ourselves. And what I personally agree with Madam in many ways, I read many chapters, that at the moment, whether we like it or not, this review will be held. The IMF will come and has come. It's a reality. Now, how to get rid of them? How to get rid of them? And I think to get rid of them, we need a long-term plan. And long-term plan, again, I'll repeat and repeat and repeat. Okay, we are not to present as the government. We are to present as the people of Pakistan. And people of Pakistan should be the people. You very rightly said, sir, रोड लोग पे आएंगे, ये हमको पता नहीं होगा कौन किसको मारता है. What you said, it's right. The situation is like that. But what this government has been told, कि अगर एक चीज आप डूब रहे हैं तो बोलो डूब रहे हैं भाई. आप ब्राइटर पिक्चर दिखा के क्या करोगे? मैं सूट पहन के आऊँगा, जेब में पैसा नहीं है, फायदा क्या? तो दैट इज ऑल सिचुएशन. मैडम की किताब के ऊपर मैं काफ़ी चीज़ मैंने पढ़ी है. आई मस्ट से दैट अब कश्मीर के ऊपर आपने बड़ा अच्छा लिखा है कश्मीर पे. इज द सॉल्यूशन ऑफ 1947, आई एम सॉरी, आई एम टॉकिंग टोटली माई ओन थॉट्स, सो प्लीज डोंट मेक इट anything special. We have not been resolved the Kashmir issue for 1947. We are still saying that UN resolution of 1947 should be implemented. Do you think we can do it? Modi Sahab has done more steps than us. Those of my friends who are in the know, Musharraf Sahab went to Agra. An agreement was reached between Bajpayee and Musharraf on Kashmir. Musharraf Sahab, generally we try to be more smart. 8 o'clock in the morning, he called the newspaperman or TV and revealed most of the agreement. 8 o'clock in the morning. Advani flew immediately from Delhi to Agra, which is a 20-minute flight, and sabotaged the whole thing. What was the solution? Solution was not that you will get back Kashmir. Solution was this: a movement between both Kashmir should be allowed freely. They should have economic agreement. They should exchange goods, and Pakistan and India should sign a trade agreement. That was the Musharraf's idea. Pakistan did not sabotage it. It was sabotaged by India. It was sabotaged by Mr. Advani, who forced, and what an insult. The 11 o'clock meeting was fixed in the morning at Agra. After her briefing 9:30, when he was getting ready and wearing suit, he was told the meeting is cancelled. No reason. And he was sent back with a what sort of less protocol to go to Agra airport and come to Pakistan. So no solution of Kashmir will not be done unless and until we do out of box, as she has said in her book. India has become so big. We have become too small. अब जो आपने एक बात जो कही, तो मैं तो हमने कहा ना, मैं तो कुछ बातें नहीं कह सकता जो आप कह रहे हैं. मेरी हिम्मत ही नहीं है. मेरी हिम्मत ही नहीं है कि किसी ने कहा कि ये पाकिस्तान रह जाएगा पंजाब और खाली सिंध. मेरी हिम्मत नहीं बोलने. अब ये सही, अब देखा ना, दिस इज यू कैन, मैं ये भी नहीं कह सकता अनफॉर्चुनेटली. मेरी हिम्मत नहीं है, वेरी क्लियरली. क्योंकि मुझे आप कोट करेंगे तो मैं आगे. So you know the solutions of this thing, unfortunately, हम जो हैं, even intellectuals, ये कश्मीर लेकर रहेंगे. क्या लेकर ले जाओगे? अपने मुल्क को संभालो तो आपको अल्लाह ताला इसके लिए बहुत अच्छी बात है. आप मुल्क को नहीं संभाल सकते. अच्छा, कश्मीर में भी अगर आपको ऐसा सॉल्यूशन है कि विच इज विन, इट कैन नॉट बी विन विन नाउ. वी हैव टू ईल्ड समथिंग. ये बात हम करने जाते हैं तो लोग नाराज़ होते हैं, लेकिन फैक्चुअल पोजीशन लाइज इन दैट. और जो हमारे साथ जाती हुई है, जो हुई है, वो हुई है कि हम कोई ब्लॉक नहीं बना सके. न चाइना हमारा ब्लॉक है, न ईरान हमारा ब्लॉक है, न हमारा कोई मुस्लिम कंट्री ब्लॉक है. आज हमारा कोई ब्लॉक नहीं. वी आर द सिंगल कंट्री. देयरफॉर वी हैव टू क्रिएट ए ब्लॉक. और क्रिएट ब्लॉक करने के लिए इतना आसान नहीं है, बिकॉज पीपल आर वेरी हार्ड ऑन मेनी थिंग्स. अब जो हमारी जो एम्बेसडर साहब ने कहा, चाइना के साथ हमारे ताल्लुकात कुछ साल पहले बहुत अच्छे थे. एंड बिलीव मी, सीपैक इज आंसर टू मैनी थिंग्स. और चाइना पैसा लगाएगा, लेकिन वी हैव टू बी क्लियर अवर पॉलिसीज. तो इसलिए मैं कहता हूँ कि जो एम्बेसडर साहब की किताब है ज़रूर पढ़ूंगा मैं इंशाल्लाह. एंड वी हैव टू स्पीक आउट कि वी शुड बी न्यूट्रल. वाई शुड बी सपोर्ट टू मच टू USA? जो अफगानिस्तान के बारे में कोई बात की गई, we were dictated by the US government to go to Afghanistan. And what happened? They ruined our economy. आज आपका रुपया डिवैल्यू क्यों हो रहा है? All the import of Afghanistan are financed by you, Pakistan, through number one, dollar, and number two, our ports. We are not able. हमारा पोर्ट में हमको जगह नहीं मिलती, अफगानिस्तान प्रेफरेंस मिलता है. So we had done a wrong policy in this respect. Regarding, I have got a lot of notes and lot of points written. I will not like to go much because it's almost 10 minutes more. But first of all, madam, I think this book has got one big advantage. IMF is another subject, but many subjects you get in-depth out of it. In-depth knowledge of what to do. One thing she said, please bring back the money plundered. You said it somewhere. If the politician, corruption money has been plundered out of Pakistan. Bring back. This is not a solution. How will you bring back? When this government even finished the NAP, when this government, or any government, I'm not well, because I don't have guts to blame any government, all the governments have done the job which was suited to them. Plundered money, I agree. If the money is brought by foreign assets here, corrupted or legal, there is no problem of IMF will go. But can we do it? Can we do it? We will not be able to do it because that money is not in their name. Their money is now spread over the world. And any country where the political situation or the economic situation is not viable, why people should bring money back? Corrupted money will never back because the corruption money, official money. The declaration was made 2 years back of the declaration of dollars, and there is, I don't know exact figure, more than $2 billion which were declared at that time. The $2 billion today we need it. Will we bring it back? Because if we bring it back today, 250 rupees or 240, I can predict to you, within 6 months, 300. Why should they bring it? So the solution has to be in a way, solution in the way is this, that we have to, as you said, out-of-box solution, that we have to see long term. Short term, we are on a ventilator, we have to accept it. Long term, if we get our ventilator, we have to plan out. And again, I say, and I tell my business community, Jabbar is sitting, I was talking to the president of FPCCI and his boss, Anjum Nisar, that we should come out a full-page advertisement in the newspaper saying that these are the problems, and our businessman perspective, we don't have guts to do that also. Jabbar, I'm telling you. We don't have guts to go public on that matter. Just we go to minister, first we praised him, secondly, out of 6 people sitting, 2 will speak something, 4 will, like Jabbar, you speak, 4 of us will keep quiet or says, yes sir, you are right. Am I right, Jabbar? So it is the fault, our fault. The fault lies with us. And fault can only be rectified if the public is there. I have no belief now that politicians want to do something. And lastly, madam, not the ruling politician. I agree. Yes, sir. What I mean to say, madam, you had done a great effort, I must say. And this book should be read by all the students of the institute and everywhere. I must compliment IoBM also, that they are encouraging you to write the books. Nowadays, hardly people write books or read books. So we have to change habit also. So once again, I compliment you. And of course, I must, the Ambassador Hasan Javed and your good self, for the very good version you given. And the platform given to us is very important. We must continue with this. Thank you very much.
appointed by Western countries themselves, US and UK. So these governments are not in a position to bring back that money. So if we have a proper government responsible to the people of Pakistan, then we can bring back that money. About Afghanistan, you said that all the dollars are going to Afghanistan. The dollars are going to all the different countries. The plane loads of dollars are going to other countries, not just Afghanistan. And the real problem is not Afghanistan. The real problem is that our economic managers in the 1990s, they crafted a very, very liberal foreign exchange regime, which allows dollars to be taken out in planes full of, plane loads are taken out full of dollars. So the real problem, culprit is not Afghanistan, the culprit are our economic managers who have crafted our foreign exchange regime. And then about Kashmir, the proposals, the ideas that I have presented are according to human rights. You can't just deny the people their basic human rights just because 70 years have passed. So now we can treat them like cattle and like sheep. We can't treat them like that. They are human beings and they have the right to decide where they want to live, with Pakistan or India. But I've also suggested an out-of-the-box solution. If you read my book carefully, I've suggested that this way there is a stalemate and we can't go on, with finding a solution. So Pakistan and China should combine hands to resolve the Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh issue, and also the water issues with India. Pakistan and China have to join hands to do that. So this is the out-of-the-box solution. Okay. You think that roti will become rupees 100? I think roti will be selling for rupees 100 if we go to the IMF. Because all this increase in the price of food items has been there because of IMF conditionalities. And you're saying that the finance minister wants to bring down the dollar to rupees 200. He will never be allowed to do that because that involves intervening in the market. And you can't intervene in the market if you're on the IMF program. So forget about bringing down dollar to 200 rupees if you're on the IMF program. And finally, about barter. You see, I'm not suggesting barter only. If it is barter only, then you need a lot of export surplus. I'm suggesting barter as well as trading in local currencies. And if you combine them, किसी मुल्कों से barter करें, किसी से local currency में करें. And I think you must be aware that Pakistan, Russia and China are starting their common currency. And I think that is the solution to the problem, because this currency will be able to pay for the import of oil and gas from Russia and for products from China and also from Iran. So I think these are the out-of-box solutions that can save Pakistan. But if we keep looking at the foreign exchange reserves and we say that they are only 400 or whatever, and therefore we have to go to the IMF, then we'll never be able to get rid of the IMF, because वो जब भी कोई होगा short term, हम कहेंगे आसान तरीका है. You see, ये सबसे आसान तरीका है गवर्नमेंट के लिए, because उनके लाइफ स्टाइल्स वही रहते हैं, उनके वही अय्याशियाँ रहती हैं. बस IMF के पास जाके लोगों के literally खाने उधेड़ रहे हैं. This is what I would say. So this is the easy way out. I would say that let's not go for the easy way out. Let's try to save this country, because I think पाकिस्तान की elites के लिए this is the easy way out. गवर्नमेंट के लिए कि जाएं IMF से ले और अपने लाइफ स्टाइल्स वही रखें. Sorry, Dr. Sadiq wants to say something. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Assalamualaikum. I'm Dr. Sadiq Ali, and no offense to anybody. Everybody is patriotic and they want to save the country. I understand that. मेरा ताल्लुक ये है कि हम बेसिकली सिविल इंजीनियर. ये कराची का पहला अंडरपास मैंने बनाया था. उस वक्त मैंने कहा था कि ये डेथ थ्रेट इन फर्स्ट रेन. Nobody listened to me. और जब मैंने यहाँ बना के रिजाइन किया तो 1 घंटे में बारिश हुई, 5 लोग मर गए. इल्म जो है वो अगर मुस्तकबिल में देखने की सलाहियत नहीं देता तो वो इतना भी नहीं होता. सब इस बात पर मुत्तफिक हैं कि पॉलिटिशियंस ठीक नहीं है. पॉलिटिशियंस इसलिए ठीक नहीं है क्योंकि आई हैव फाउंड कि आर्टिकल 50 जो है वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन करता है, जिसका मैंने केस सुप्रीम कोर्ट में किया. और वो ये है कि ये पार्लियामेंट जो है इसकी पार्लिमानी निज़ाम की वजह से जो मोहम्मद अली जिन्ना ने आइन लिखा था उसमें कहा था डेंजर्स ऑफ पार्लियामेंट्री सिस्टम. वो यही डेंजर्स थे पहले होने चाहिए। तो अगर आप सिर्फ अदलिया को सही करते हैं, मैंने सुप्रीम कोर्ट में केस किया हुआ है वो लगवा दें, तो आप यकीन करें 3 महीने में आपकी इकॉनमी ठीक हो सकती है। क्योंकि मेरी PhD रिसर्च है इंडस्ट्री बैंकिंग एंड फाइनेंसिंग में, जो मुझे जर्मन यूनिवर्सिटी सेंटर में रिसर्च साइंटिस्ट की जॉब ऑफर थी, वहाँ मैंने की थी। ये जो आपको यहाँ बताया जा रहा है तकीब इस्माइल साहब, नो ऑफेंस टू हिम, वो माशी अदल पे नहीं है, इसलिए वो बिलासुब निज़ाम नहीं है। तो मैं सिर्फ इतना कहूँगा कि सोल्यूशंस हैं और शॉर्ट टर्म सोल्यूशंस हैं, लेकिन सिर्फ उसके अंदर जो आपकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है उस बुक को हम लोग हमेशा ही कहते हैं बुक बाय द बुक, क्योंकि हम ये एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि बुक में सही लिखा होगा। आपके कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में मोहम्मद अली जिन्ना की आइन लिखा हुआ मेरे पास है, मौजूद है, एंड ही सेड प्रेसिडेंशियल सिस्टम देना। देखिए प्रेसिडेंशियल सिस्टम को फॉलो करना। अब बरतानिया जहाँ है वो पार्लिमानी निज़ाम की वजह से है, क्योंकि वहाँ बादशाह ने इसलिए इजाज़त दी थी कि तख्त को कोई चैलेंज नहीं करेगा, इसलिए मोहम्मद अली जिन्ना ने मना किया था। दूसरा, हमारे यहाँ सदारती निज़ाम की है, तो हमें तो अमेरिका और बरतानिया की डबल स्पीड से जाना चाहिए, क्योंकि दोनों निज़ाम हमारे पास है, तो हम रिवर्स में क्यों हैं? तो trust me, I won't be making a long speech here, but the fact is, when you have time, आप सिर्फ business community मेरे पीछे खड़ा करते हैं, I assure you, and Dr. Shahida Wizarat knows we have had a lot of discussions. मैं चंदे नहीं लेता, अपने पैसों से जाकर मैंने सुप्रीम कोर्ट में केस किया। आप सिर्फ business community मेरे पीछे खड़ी कर दें, I promise to you कि टैक्सेस भी कम होंगे और 3 महीने में डॉलर भी कम हो जाएगा। आज रात मैं जा रहा हूँ उम्रे के लिए। If anybody is interested to listen to original industry banking and financing and really saving Pakistan from this problem, तो मैं 5 को फरवरी 2 में से वापस आ जाऊँगा। We can have a meeting. Thank you.
Testing. Hello. Yes, we are running a little behind schedule. Right. So, is there any time for Q&A, or if not, then we can move on to the distribution of the mementos. May I invite the president to please step on the stage, and the mementos are for the guest speakers here. Mr. Chancellor, can you please also step on the podium for the photographs? All right, so Excellency Hasan Javed Saab, sir. We have a memento for you. Engineer Mr. Abdul Jabbar, sir, we have a memento for you. Mr. Azhar Jamil Sahab, please step on the podium. May I now invite all the guest speakers to step on the podium for a photograph? Oh, I'm sorry, we also have something for Mr. Bashir Janmohammad, sir. Please accept this token from us. May I now invite all the guest speakers for a group photograph? It has been a long program, but we also have refreshments just right out in the corner. And also the book by Dr. Shahida Wizarat is available for anyone to purchase right outside. And this is a good moment to buy it. You'll get a signed copy if you like.